You can do what you want with this information, but Kayshon Boutte didn't have a choice. LSU kicked him off of the team because of what him and that female did. She privated not only her Twitter account, but her Instagram account. A little fishy if you gotta ask me. Guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we got a sticky situation on our hands. You might want to get your popcorn, snack, meal, whatever you like to eat when you watch a video, because this one's going to be interesting to say the least. Y'all all know Kayshon Boutte, right? The star wide receiver for LSU. Well, remember, and for those of you that don't know, I'm going to inform you, about 2 to 3 weeks ago around that time frame, he announced that he's going to come back to LSU next season. Awesome news, everybody was excited for it, but then, out of nowhere a couple days ago, he said, "No, never mind, I'm not coming back to LSU, I'm going to the NFL draft." It was a very weird situation, not many people knew what was going on, however, the internet remains undefeated. And like I said, you might want to brace yourself for this story. What's a nice way to say this? Let's just say that Mr. Kayshon Boutte and some other people part of the LSU football team and program, they had a little bit too much fun during a party. And when I say fun, I mean they really, and I mean really had fun. You know what I'm talking about. Or maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. We're going to talk all about that, but also got some other minor topics to speak on. One of those being, and I can't even call this a minor topic, USC just lost to Tulane. We're going to talk about that game and also a little bit about the LSU football game versus Purdue. It's going to be a jam-packed video like always. If you like college football content, consider joining the best, not one of the best college football community on the YouTube platform. And yeah, blah, 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 shut your crap up, Matt. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, first things first, I had some people sending this to me on Twitter. By the way, go follow me on Twitter if you don't already. Wanted me to talk about this LSU Purdue game, saying, "Yo, Matt, you got to talk about how LSU destroyed Purdue." Here's my counter to that statement. What do you want me to say? It was a bloodbath. Purdue looked like a team that had a bunch of 2- and 3-star recruits that played a team that had a bunch of 4- and 5-star recruits, and that's what it was. I've tried telling you guys this over and over and over. There's levels to it. Remember, this was supposed to be a quote-unquote rebuilding year for LSU, and it is that. But I tried telling people in the offseason, even with LSU rebuilding, they still can beat almost anybody on any given Saturday just because they have the talent. LSU is just far more talented than Purdue. It's the same thing with Kansas State and Alabama. You watch Alabama and K-State play, it looks like the JV team is scrimmaging the varsity. Same thing with LSU and Purdue. You can do what you want with that information, but I do want to bring this up because I happened to stumble across this TikTok right after the game. This is a Purdue Edit fan page or something, and they said, "The entire LSU team should be fined. This is unacceptable. Multiple taunting penalties, hurting our players, purposely celebrating while our players are down is just dirty football, terrible class act by LSU today." You know what I gotta say to that TikTok message? You're a weenie. I guarantee you, whoever wrote this, you don't play football. I like it when players and teams act this way because I'm sick and tired of how soft the game has gotten. Now, I'm not saying I like to see players hurt one another and play dirty, but y'all get what I'm trying to say. I like to see players go out there, nail somebody in the head, and get over them and taunt them. That's what we need. That's football, and to be honest, just like this reply says, 0 taunting penalties. Sage Ryan had no idea that dude was even injured. Purdue set the tone on the first drive chirping. That is where I'm getting to with this. Purdue started the chirping, then LSU, they just did it back, and oh, LSU's the bad guys. Like, come on, man, give me a break, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. Let's move on to our second topic before we get into what's going on with LSU star wide receiver. Our second topic is no other than Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams. I don't know how they did it, but somehow they did it. They managed to blow a 15-point lead in a couple of minutes. I tweeted this out right after the game, and it's where I stand. I've never seen a team ever in my life fall apart that bad and that quickly like USC did against Tulane. If you didn't see what happened, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. I can't explain it to you. If you didn't watch this game, go watch the last 5 to 6 minutes. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Although Tulane, they was in the game, it never felt like until late in the fourth quarter they had a chance to pull off the upset. Next thing you know, Tulane's kicking off the ball, and USC's return man, he fumbles it out of bounds at the 1-yard line. And I said to myself when it happened, yep, I've seen this story before. USC, they're going to get a safety, and Tulane's going to march down the field and score a touchdown and win by 1. I'm telling you, I bet a lot of you are the same way. Whenever something bad like that happens with USC, you almost know something else is going to double down on it. And just like always, whenever Lincoln Riley loses a game, everybody's going to say, oh, he's overrated, defense is soft, and yada, yada, yada. You know how the story goes. But here's my counter argument to that. Is it really Lincoln Riley's fault that his player fumbled the ball out of bounds at the 1 and then his team got a safety? You can blame the defense all you want. You can say that it's Lincoln Riley's fault, but what happened at the end, you cannot put that on him. That's my opinion, and here's a fun fact for you. Tulane scored 46 points, won the game, yet their quarterback completed 8 passes. Yeah, that's right. You heard me correctly. Tulane won a game, a high-scoring game at that, with 8 completions. And that's why I say it's still hard for me to fathom that Tulane won this ball game. They had no business winning the game, and yet they did. The only person who I feel bad for, I don't feel bad for Lincoln Riley. I feel bad for Caleb Williams. The kid played out of his mind. 37-52, nearly 500 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, QBR of 94.9, and lost the game. Outside of the 1 interception, he played almost a perfect game and lost. And the first thing I think of anytime Lincoln Riley loses from now on is Oklahoma fans. I just know they're laughing and cheering it on. I could talk about that way more. I just wanted to get those quick topics out of the way. But finally, moving on to the main topic, the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto the video, we gotta talk about Mr. Kayshon Boutte. Well, not really just Kayshon Boutte. It's a lot of people involved with the LSU football program, including, and this is the biggest piece to the puzzle, a female. What have I told you guys time after time after time? If you're under 25 years old, stay away from females. You'll come back in 10 years and thank me later. The reason I tell you that isn't because I think all females are bad. There is some great females out there, but they're far and few in between. For the vast majority of men, anytime you see them go into depression, they lose everything. They lose their car, house, their life goes downhill. 98% of the time is because of a woman. You can debate a brick wall on that. It's not me stating my opinion. It's a cold hard fact. And I'm not blaming the women. I need to get that point across to all the women and females watching this. It's not your fault a lot of the times. What I'm saying is it's the man's fault for chasing the women because he needs to be focusing on other stuff in his life that's more important, but the women sidetrack the men. That's a different conversation for a different day. Let's get on track with things. We're jumping straight into it and letting you know up front, this is your disclaimer warning, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a lot to take in. To give you some context on this as to why everybody knew something was up, 3 to 4 weeks ago, Kayshon Boutte said, I'm coming back to LSU. I'm going to play one more season. But then about 3, 4, 5 days ago, he says, no, never mind, scratch that. I'm going to the NFL draft. Everybody was like, okay, that's weird. Well, what happened? Reportedly, and this is reportedly once again, here's what went down. A very close source to the LSU football team put this out there. Secret board scoop, not out in the public sphere yet, Boutte was just the tip of the iceberg. Apparently, there was a blank party in Atlanta during the SEC championship stay, and the participants got caught. The reason I said blank there is because this wasn't your average party. This was a party that involves a man and a woman. YouTube has strict guidelines nowadays, so you can put 2 and 2 together. It was a fun party and we'll leave it at that. You should be able to figure it out. Continuing along here, at least 5 have been identified. Kayshon Boutte, Destiny Wilson, on-campus recruiting coordinator Cortez Hankton, wide receivers coach J.R. Belton, and director of recruiting Corey Phillips, associate director player personnel. Before we go any farther, let me give you some more context. If you didn't understand that, you had 4 men involved in this party and 1 female. Do what you want with that information. Here is the lone female that was involved. This is Destiny Wilson. Detective Matt in the build, and I did some digging and research. Normally in these situations, if you're not guilty, you don't try to hide anything, right? Well, doing some basic research like I did, she privated not only her Twitter account, but her Instagram account. A little fishy if you gotta ask me. Just a tad bit, right? I think we can agree on that. My only question is, Miss Destiny Wilson, if you're not guilty, why did you private your stuff? And I'm sorry, I can't give you the benefit of the doubt. It's not a coincidence that you went private when all this was getting leaked out. But hey, I'm not holding it against you. You're a grown female. You're a grown woman. You can do what you want with your life. I don't care. Hey man, I'm just here to report on the news. Do what you want. Anyways, getting back on track here, let me read you off the last few parts. Remember, Kayshon Boutte said, hey, I'm not coming back. I'm going to the NFL, but apparently and reportedly, that's not what happened. Boutte was dismissed. Destiny Wilson, the lone female at this affair, resigned on December 8th. Word for word here, she had a history of this sort of behavior and we failed to catch it in the due diligence. Due diligence. I said that kind of jumbled up together, but you get what I'm trying to say. Hankton, the highest paid wide receiver coach in the country, will be terminated effective after the bowl game. The fates of Belton, the instigator, and Phillips are not known yet, but both are almost certainly gone. Ooh, yeah. Interesting. Now here's some stuff that you do need to know, or I want to share with you. I've been following this very closely the past 2 days. Not just today, not just yesterday, but for the past 2 days. The reason I just now waited to make a video on it is the same reason I always normally wait on news like this. I don't care to be the first person to report on the news. I want to give you guys great content with a lot of information that I can justify everything I say. So for that reason, that's why I've waited on this, because just going off of these screenshots, you don't gotta be a rocket scientist to figure out. Sounds a little fishy, right? Just off of the top of my head, when I was looking at it 2 days ago, I said, well, probably half people are gonna believe that, half people aren't. But then, as you can probably figure out, we had a turn of events that leads me to believing this 100%. One of those turns of events was, number one, Destiny Wilson. She privated all of her Instagram and Twitter accounts. But then two, and this is one of the biggest things about all this, Brian Kelly said he can't even speak about everything going on with him. And when I say on with him, I'm talking about Mr. Kayshon Boutte. Now let me ask you guys a question. Why do you think Brian Kelly can't speak on it? If you haven't figured it out, it's fairly obvious, because there's an internal investigation more than likely going on. I mean, y'all gotta understand, this isn't Kayshon Boutte and LSU, some of the players sneaking out or doing something where they got a parking ticket. No. When you got a female involved in this and that's going on, this is some serious business. You can do what you want with this information, but Kayshon Boutte didn't have a choice. LSU kicked him off of the team because of what him and that female did. Here is my biggest question about all of this. Who snitched? Well, now that I think about it, probably nobody snitched. More than likely, they got caught. Oh yeah, that's right, because now I remember in the messages, Matt, pop it up right here. It does say they got caught, my bad. But still, this is just absurd. I don't know if I've ever heard of a situation like this. I know this was an abrupt ending, but let me know your thoughts down below. But